Setting the stage before the first panel of the day is Sylvain Seignour, President, Netcracker Technology, and Mr. Issam Eid, who will engage in a fireside chat, supporting Netcracker's key customer relationships across the globe and pushing the boundaries of strategic sales and leadership. Sylvain is a force to be reckoned with. A warm welcome to you both. Let's give them a big round of applause as they prepare for their fireside chat.
We live in a data-driven society. With a rapid increase in data, we risk getting lost in a sea of information. AI has the potential to cut through the data chaos and deliver positive changes to all aspects of society. It can help operators compete and succeed in the fast-paced digital era. Operators need a trusted partner to help them navigate the data storm and transform into innovative technology providers. Netcracker is leading the way in AI-driven digital transformation for telecom operators. We help operators maximize return on investment and seize new opportunities in the rapidly evolving telecom market. Reimagining the telecom business with Netcracker.
I would like to welcome you on stage.
Thank you.
Mr. Sylvain Seignour, President of Netcracker. So basically, the previous fireside chat with Tony and Fahad, they paved the way for you, and they mentioned Netcracker. So I will be starting with our interesting question for our fireside chat. So basically, Sylvain, as the president of the Netcracker Technology company, you have a front row seat to many complexes, IT transformation program across a diverse group of operators in terms of scale, business models, and operating models. How do you support your customers and their varied set of requirements in their journey towards digitalization?
Very good question that we get asked a lot. But first, I would like to thank you, Telecom Review, for having us. It's a great event, a lot of great minds, and I think there will be a lot of good exchange of ideas over the next 2 days, so thank you. Also, I wanted, because it is a hard business that we are in, doing transformation, and we have a few of our employees here, and I want to say a big thank you, a big shukran for all the hard work this year. So, yes, we have a lot of customers in various regions, different verticals. We'll talk about it, I think, a little bit later in the panel. And looking about how to shape the success of this transformation. First, you have to align on the objective. And usually, that's pretty clear in terms of, Fahad mentioned the strategy that he had in terms of modernizing their IT system, and that's the technical part. But there's a business outcome as well that needs to be delivered. Second is to see, depending on the size of the transformation, how it's going to get phased, because it could be a multi-year program. So you could decide to do a multi-year, let's wait until the house is built, if I take Fahad's picture, or do you start to building in phases, and what's important is to understand the very clear business objective of each of the phases. Now, having said that, because it's going to be on the multi-years, and I'm sure there's a lot of operators here that are going to say, oh, is he talking about us? You're going to deal with regulatory changes. You're going to deal about different type of competition entering the market. You're going to deal with maybe with a change of infrastructure versus service that runs on it because of an opening of the market, potentially even in terms of, the famous from telco to techco. Yeah. And you live in a competitive market, which means it's not static, which is great, by the way. That's why I love this industry. It never stops. So how you deal with the constant inputs has you had a plan on multi-phases. And that actually creates conflicts of priorities. Yeah. So the third point is the governance. Very often, it's a classic, you have a technical governance on every day, how you're going to integrate with the system, how you're going to do your testing orchestration, that's for sure. The second level of governance, and that happens, right, typically. And then you have a second level of governance, which is actually aligning with the business. business operation, of course, contact with customers in terms of the new services, and how you keep delivering the value every step of the way. And then the executive one. And that's critical because those priority conflict that I mentioned needs to be resolved. And that's the hard one, right? Because you're like, we need to deliver, we need to replace this piece of technology, but also we need to be present in the marketplace. So that's key. I think after that, the important aspect is the right methodology when you start the project to look at the requirements and define what's the future mode of operation is going to be. Because if it's just parity for parity and you have some newer system, it's great, but you miss the opportunity to potentially rationalize your offering, your segmentation, and that offers you this opportunity to actually deliver more value. And finally, I think you need to be ready, and Netcracker is very strong in that area, kind of a prime SI capabilities, especially if you have more than one partners, to orchestrate all those partners. It's like the International Space Station. Everybody's going to build their piece together, and you want to make sure when it comes together, well, not only it works, especially if you're in space, but actually deliver the value. Yeah. So I think that's the summary that I will have in terms of the, our advice and what we have learned over the years for our experience globally.
So in line with from telco to techno, actually, many operators have been undergoing these large-scale transformation programs in order to go beyond connectivity and become technology companies. What are these key benefits for operators looking to evolve into techno, Sylvain?
This is amazing because I think 10 years ago, I'm not sure. There was some branching out, but the company was associated with the network, especially in telecom, and that was it. And if you go back to dial-up, well, whatever, I'm doing this with a phone, you know my age, right? Not just this. But you were the phone call equal the network equal the service. And maybe at first it was a valuation play in terms of unleashing the value of the different elements. But the truth, there's been a realization, and actually Fahad mentioned it, the brand. It's a realization that your brand is a lot more than just the service. And telecom providers, again, different, the way the brand is perceived has some differences based on region and also demographics, but at the end of the day, it's reliability, it's a quality of service, it's integrity, it's trust. So this brand suddenly can be leveraged to sell any services. And you're almost moving, especially in the B2C, going from customer to consumer. And we have seen it. We've seen it with healthcare. We are seeing it with, green energy charging. We've seen it with fintech. So this is really strong. And when I look at the shareholder value or the valuation for the companies that are publicly traded, you can see that the investment community is realizing that this is going to generate several streams of revenue, a diversification across actually multiple segments of the industry, and therefore made this company, bigger and stronger.
So once a telco has undertaken this transition, Sylvain, to become a techno and works closely actually with other industry vertical, how does actually Netcracker's deep experience in this area help to bridge this divide to other markets?
So I'm going to say we saw it coming, so we invested, and of course, I think that will be preposterous. We had some vision that this could happen, but we also got fortunate that we have had a lot of experience in other verticals and other markets. So we are, I think, very well known, and we've been, noticed in our very good work in the telecommunications sector. But we have actually, for the last 31 years plus, so we've been around the block. We have had the opportunity to actually deliver transformation across other industries. We have had some very large logistics transformation. Probably the largest one is DHL Express. We have done a lot of utility business transformation over the years. We have worked with fintech companies as well. Lottery and gambling, La Française des Jeux in France, for example. So all this information actually helped us develop better solutions, better products that actually covers in very flexible type of model that you can do in terms of the customer engagement or the products that you're going to sell. And the people and our employees, and very, important, is the experience that they have gained from all those transformation now are being helpful in terms of when we engage with our customers when they do that telco to techco.
Yeah.
So we've been very, very fortunate.
So Gen AI hit actually the mass market about 2 years ago and shows no signs of letting up. What are the key ways that Gen AI and AI can positively impact the telecom industry?
Oh, this is a loaded question. So look, it's very impactful. It's very impactful in the daily life of us as citizens, there's no doubt. And I think I don't want to get into the ethics. I was reading an interesting article about grief AI, about replacing the loved ones. I don't know what I think too much about this. Yeah. But let's talk about what I know more, which is in our industry. The explosion of the language model, right? The large language model, the LLM, from different providers, it's like blowing your minds. From, at first more scripting to the voice engaging. I was driving the other day, I was asking some questions about, I'm from Canada, so I was asking questions about winter tires. You probably don't know what it is. And different rating. And it took me a while actually to get 5-6 questions to get to the answer I wanted. And I'm using these examples because of what is the value of Netcracker with this Gen AI solution. So the language model exists. Actually, they are developing in terms of how you interact with them at different pace. So I would not be surprised that at one point we may have to orchestrate different language models depending on how you engage and what's the channel you use to use the best, which will add, of course, some level of complexity. But what we've seen that doesn't work well is the language model directly plugged into a database with data. Like almost from a chat box, or even now, I think the conversational one are very powerful. Because you're going to get data unorganized, potentially inaccurate, and how they're going to be impactful. So this is where Netcracker comes into play in terms of managing the data, obviously on behalf of our customers, make sure that data does not leave the sovereign clouds and potentially private clouds. A lot of elements of data, like cybersecurity. This is very critical. We cannot, underestimate that part of the work. Normalize it, clean it, make it secured so it can be actioned. And then we have a set of libraries of the, I would say, best practices, experience that we have, so you can understand, especially the way AI is going to do, it's going to be a conversational. Like, my bill is too high, right? That's what you're going to get. Well, an agent today that has experience will say, okay, your bill is too high. Let me check. What changed? Has the promotion went away? No. Oh, you were roaming. Let's look at this. Well, if you say the bill is too high and you have access to the data and structure, you're going to get a lot of information. You're also a business. At the end of the day, you want to make sure you guide your customer in a truthful manner to solve a problem, so you retain that customers and potentially upsell. So that's where the power of Netcracker is. And we've been very fortunate. Farhad was mentioning there's a lot of use cases out there. Anything related to customer engagement, supporting of agents, which means helps you reduce the training, and especially during the store experience. We saw a few years ago in Japan with Rakuten about how maybe to put a robot there. People still, once this interaction when they walk into the store. Who is blaming them, honestly, to meet, talk to other humans. But so helpful support there. There is probably what we have seen with all the customers that we've deployed the solution with, probably 50% efficiency gain, either in terms of training, and either in terms of the quality of the people that you're helping. What you don't want is be in a IVR replacement situation. Are you this? Press 1, press 2. You want to be able to go back and engage and obviously have something that's, at the end, make sure that your NPS are up, your average landing time are obviously down, your first cross resolution are up. So this is the big one. Network design and planning, very strong outcome as well, especially on the B2B and the enterprise across multiple sites, where you may have your network, you may have to rent a network, and different technology, how to create that circuit so the service is being delivered. And then a lot of internal use cases as well in terms of course, testing, some simple design, and around, for example, using AI to react very quickly to competitive offers. So you can actually configure your product catalog knowing how that they compare, and then you have value added on top of it, you can differentiate yourself. So the truth is, AI is here. It's not going anywhere. It's not a fad. And there's a lot of value that can be achieved. Netcracker is very strong in this space and will continue to invest heavily.
Yeah, so Gen AI is here, AI is here. What about the security concern for the operator security concern about, and how Netcracker can resolve this,
So AI, going back a little bit in history, the truth is with a lot of the laws about data, GDPR in Europe and the very hefty fines, I think 4% of your turnover in many places, and we can see as well, being in North America, there's not every day there's a company being hacked and data that is being released and cause a lot of fines and a lot of challenges. So it's important to deal with how you secure that data and how you secure that data as well from internally, because inside threats, in terms of cybersecurity, is real. Physical protection, but also using obfuscation, so the data cannot be read, but at least the core value of the data for testing, in terms of the metadata, still there. So Netcracker has invested in the last several years heavily, and we have been recognized by many organizations around the world for the work we have done, because in what we do in terms of software, without this data and protecting that data, let's be very honest. This will not be high value. So this is, again, in the context of AI, it's just the next chapter of protecting that information.
Yeah. So my last question, Sylvain, how do you see the communication market evolving in the next few years, And how is Netcracker prepared to help its customer achieve their goals?
Well, I think we're going to see continuation of valuation of assets of the network. In some territories, opening of many service company running on a couple of networks. And I think we're seeing in Europe a lot of merger and acquisition with that regards. This will require actually separate the assets from the services, which is what we have been doing for at least 2 decades. It's really the service layer. We will see as well a consumer or a customer that's going to be sold different type of services. Some that will be obviously really mainly provided by the telecom companies or the techcos, but there's also a concept of ecosystem and marketplace where you are able to engage with your customers and provide the best that exists with your brand. Today we see it. If you're watching an over-the-top at home and there is a disconnection, you know who you call first? You call your internet service provider.
Certainly, I speak.
You don't even know. So you're getting the cost, you're getting the calls, customers are upset with you. But potentially it's a back-end, connectivity issue that has nothing to do with you. So you better actually embrace it and provide this. And again, there's, those OTT have some models. So Netcracker has developed a lot of solution in terms of a greater ecosystem around the marketplace. So I think that's what we will see. And of course, 5G, we heard 6G. All I know is the pace of change is only accelerating. So you need to fasten your seatbelt and walk as fast as, or run as fast as you can.
Sylvain, thanks a lot. I really appreciate this fireside chat, and warm welcome to the Telecom Review Leaders Summit. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, appreciate it.